Hey there, and welcome back to the Metalheads Manifesto. I am Makai. I'll let this guy introduce himself in just a second if you don't know who he is. But today, I was meant to be here, but times change, things happen, so Kai doesn't happen to be here right now. He might jump in a bit. I don't know for sure, but still. I'll let this guy introduce himself, as for who he is.
Going on, guys? I'm Sam. I currently sing for a band called Hell Let Loose, and I used to be the vocalist of a band in the UK called Sunfall. Thanks very much for having me today.
No worries at all, man. It's my pleasure to have you. You are our first guest.
I'm very honoured to be the first guest. That's awesome. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So, we didn't think we'd get anybody on because obviously we're a very small podcast. We've only just started. This is our fifth episode, I think it is, or something crazy like that.
Oh, brilliant. That's awesome.
But yeah, man, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get started with music? What got you interested in doing it? And
So I started playing guitar in 2008, and that all stemmed from Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock, which is in my opinion, one of the best games of all time.
agreed.
And that's goated soundtrack. Like it had literally a bit of everything on there. But when I was younger, when I played that game, I think I was about 10, and I just remember like being really gravitated towards like the heavier songs on that game. So there was Slipknot, Before I Forget, Raining Blood by Slayer, My Curse, Killswitch Engage, Take This Life in Flames. There's a dope song on there, Nothing for Me Here, Disturbed, Stricken, even The Metal by Tenacious D. And it was just that just got me on this path, just like, what the fuck is this kind of music? And from there, I just went in a rabbit hole on iTunes, downloading songs and like, oh, you might like this. And I would go and click that and it would search me into another rabbit hole. I went from Bring Me the Horizon all the way to like Despised Icon, Suicide Silence, Nile, Cannibal Corpse. I was just like literally soaking everything in. And I started playing guitar, in about 2008, and I didn't start off playing anything like that because I was very young. I wasn't wasn't shredding yet, or the riff master didn't have the fucking right hand down pick on point just yet. But I started off with your basics. Smoke on the Water was the first song I ever learned,
I think it's
and then it
everybody's first
progressed
start on
from
the
there.
guitar.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally, it's a perfect song to be your first song to learn.
Mhm.
And from there, we just learnt a few more like complex stuff, like a couple of Green Day songs, some Nirvana tracks, and some like chill stuff as well, like Snow Patrol, Chasing Cars, and like even like the slower Green Day stuff like Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And
Makes
eventually,
sense.
once I started playing for a couple years, I had the whole classic meme of you discover when you're 13 and you discover drop D tuning for the first time. And that's when like everything changed. I was like, holy shit. And then that's when I started learning like System of a Down, um, and stuff that wasn't like too hard to play, but it was like kind of intermediate. And then from there, I started learning like Parkway Drive songs, Lamb of God. Slipknot was always difficult for me because the tuning was so low. It was like drop B at the time, and I hadn't done drop B yet. But eventually, as I got older, like 15 and whatnot, and 16 years old, I started playing all that kind of stuff. Chimera as well. All Shall Perish as well. I remember we were learning Wage Slaves and playing it for my like year 9 music
Yeah.
class. And it was just
Man.
like I was like a weird kid with this like floppy hair and shit, and like coming in with my fucking guitar that has like stickers all over it. Was
Yeah.
coming busting out Wage Slaves in the fucking music room. But like, yeah, just like going from there, um, I still play guitar to this day, but I got into vocals.
Oh yeah, you did big time.
Um, yeah, cheers, bro. Like, um, my first ever screen that I ever did was in 2014. I remember it. Me and my friend Jaden, shout out Jaden Gunning. We were just having a night out night in, I should say. And we were on Omegle, if you guys ever remember that
Oh
fucking
yeah,
chat website.
a long
Yeah,
time
we
ago,
were on
but
Omegle. Yeah, and we were just like just taking the piss, man. We were just like shouting and just we had that house to ourselves at the time. And I was really hyper, and we put in the interests to match with other people, Lamb of God. And I remember just for no reason, I just decided to scream Lamb of God. And what I did in that moment was like a fry scream. So
Yeah.
it sounded kind of like what Matt Heafy from Trivium does.
Hmm.
And my friend was like, dude, what the fuck was that? Like, that was like actual scream. And I was like, holy shit, I think I can do that. And then I started like just toying around with it, but I couldn't really hold that scream for very long. It'd be like a couple words or sentences, and I'm like, oh, I'm gassed out now.
Oh yeah, well, but that's how
So
we all
over the
learn
years,
those. So like, once we are
yeah,
doing vocals, like, because obviously I practice, but I'm not like a vocalist, should I say? I fuck around with it. Because I do that for my own
yeah,
shit as well. So like, just to kind of understand
100%.
how it works for like how. So if I'm listening to like a deathcore track, I can be like, oh, I know exactly what he's doing. I know exactly how he's trying to hit what he's trying to hit. It kind of gives me more
Mm,
to talk about, man. Yeah, so I should say.
yeah. Oh, no, 100%, dude. It definitely. And I pissed around with it for a bit. I didn't take it seriously. I'd go to shows and stuff. I was living at Perth. I'm currently based in Perth, Australia, and at the
Mhm.
time of all these stories, I was in Perth as well. And I would used to go to like local shows, like all ages shows and stuff, because I was only like 15, 16 at the time. And I'd go in like mic still, and I'd do like gutturals and stuff and try and scream just because I wanted to do it, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, cool, this is really cool. And I just eventually in 2016, I moved to England to pursue like university, and my family and stuff also wanted to go back because originally we are from the UK.
Mhm.
And went to uni and I met some guys, and we ended up forming a band called Sunfall. And I went to uni to study guitar. I was playing guitar, but I was like, I really want to be a vocalist in a band as well. So I sent them my audition, which was like some 45-second shitty screaming thing I'd recorded in my mate's closet like 2 years
Damn.
before.
Yeah.
And and shout out Ollie Wells and James. He was like, dude, this is sick. Like, this is awesome. You're in the band. I was like, oh fuck, I'm in the band. And when I got told I was in the band, I just kind of had this like boot camp regime with myself. I'm like, right, okay, I need to be good enough now to be able to survive like a 25-minute set of songs, and I need to be good enough now to track vocals properly in the
Oh yeah.
studio. And so I just would like be in my room, and I would put the TV on full blast, and I'd put on instrumentals of like Volvadinia, Kubla Khan, Suicide Silence. I'd just scream over it, even if I wasn't saying the words. I'd just be screaming over it, and I built up a lot of stamina doing that, and kind of figured out where my voice was going. I started off as a fry scream vocalist.
Yeah. I think
I
that's where
couldn't do
everybody
false
starts.
chord.
I think like false chord
Yeah,
takes
yeah.
more practice because like obviously because like when you try to go low, it tends to try to involve your vocal cords, which is very bad for you. So like
Mm,
everybody kind of
yeah.
starts with vocal fry, in my opinion. So good.
Yeah, 100%. And I really struggled to learn false chord. It took me a while. And then in one day in 2019, I remember it like bright as day. I was just in the house and I was just practicing, and I was just doing stuff. I was like, hang on a sec. And I kept doing the tone. I was like, holy shit, I think I've just like figured out like the false chord technique. And I'm gonna shout out fucking this band called Bound in Fear, like one of the heaviest bands in the UK. Um, Shout out Ben and Kia from Bound in Fear, great guys. Actually, Kia mixed and mastered my band's first EP with Sunfall,
Oh, that's
and
sick.
Ben was actually briefly in Sunfall
Mhm.
as well, which was awesome. He's a great vocalist. I look up to him a lot, and his album, The Hand of Violence, he did actually helped me learn how to do false chord vocals, because he was like a insane false chord vocalist. He still is.
Yeah.
We used to play shows with them, and when they would do the mic check, I could hear him from like out on the street. I was like, what
Damn.
the fuck?
That is some
Like,
fucking
seriously.
loudness, man. That's hard to do as well.
Yeah,
Like
bro, it
like
was
getting loud with vocals like that is
insanely,
fucking yeah.
insanely loud. I couldn't fucking believe it. And I was all fry at the time. So I was like, just in the corner, like, oh yeah, my screams are okay, I guess. But like, it
Yeah.
was just crazy. And then I just started listening to it, and I was kind of like, okay. And so I started trying to do my own versions of it. And that's how I just learned how to do false chord. And it's been like, I mean, that was 5 years ago, which is crazy. And it's one of probably my main styles now. I actually probably do false chord way more than I do fry. I try and incorporate fry as much as possible, but like I've definitely like I'd probably say I'm like 60% false chord, 40% fry.
I mean, like from what I've
And
heard of what you
yeah.
do, like I would say your voice is like one of the most unique that I've heard in the scene at the moment. Like you genuinely if you
Oh,
listen to
dude,
like a lot of deathcore. a lot of people sound the same.
Oh,
Like not
yeah.
exactly, but like there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of like copy techniques, if you want to call it that. People try to sound like other
Oh, dude,
people,
yeah.
and then you know what I mean. So you're
Heaps,
doing
man, and
something
like
right,
there's so
man.
many.
But yeah, sorry, good.
Oh, I appreciate that a lot, dude. No, all good, man. I appreciate that a lot. There's obviously so many different like techniques, and
Mhm.
there's all tunnel throat highs, tunnel throat lows, gutturals and stuff. And I love incorporating all of that stuff, but I like to use it where I think it sees fit to the music.
Yeah,
And so if I feel like, oh, this bit needs some more of a metalcore scream, or like what I consider a metalcore scream,
yeah,
I'll do that. Or sometimes I'll change it up and like, oh, this bit's really heavy. Instead of going super low, I'm actually going to go super high, or I'm going to stay at like a mid range and make it sound as pissed as possible. So I try and just like match the music, but sometimes flip it on its head and go, people are going to expect this vocal, but I'm going to do this instead. And it's just like, I like challenging myself like that. And with my newest band, Hell Let Loose, it's been really fun in the studio because this band's really gotten me good at doing like the high screams, like the Mitch Lucker highs. I was
yeah.
really fucking bad at those for a long time. And I'm still learning, but I've really honed in on my craft for this band, and I've been able to learn that technique a lot better than I did back in the day. It's back in the day, I'd like blow my voice out in like 5 minutes doing those kind of screams.
Which I
Whereas
can
now
imagine.
it's feels so much more natural.
That's awesome. I mean, getting natural with that shit is like the best thing because I remember when I first started learning vocals, because like obviously we started before there was YouTube, like before YouTube was like a thing to learn how to do
Mm.
what you do. So like when you start learning in that way, man, you can blow out your voice without even fucking meaning to half the time. Just one of those things.
Yeah, definitely, dude. And like it's difficult. You can do a lot of you can feel like you're doing it right, and then the next day it might feel a bit scratchy. But I feel like even in the beginning, you're gonna feel a bit rough,
Yeah.
even if you're doing it correctly, because your
Hmm.
fucking body's not used to that. And
Like
false chord for
it
me,
like almost
like
feels like like your voice changes, like your voice almost deepens a little bit. When you first learn to like try
mm,
and scream. So
yeah, I did a tour with what's I call it a tour, like a 5-day weekender with Sunfall a couple years ago with a band called Starved around the UK. And I kind of that happened to me on that tour. I was like just recovering from COVID, and we were doing like long sets. So a couple of the nights did like 50 minutes,
yeah, that's a
and I
long
was just
set, man.
like, it's a long set, man. And there was some nights where I didn't, properly warm up and stuff. And I noticed the next day I walk around and we're like, there you go. Like Jason
Yeah,
Statham's just walked in
proper.
because my voice was a bit lower. And then I
Mm,
noticed when I came off of that tour, it actually took me a couple like weeks to get like my screaming voice back to like 100%.
yeah,
Like I was like, shit, okay, I got to take care of that a bit better. And
yeah.
so
Was that like
every
due to
time I
like warm
perform,
up, or was that due to just like overperforming? Do you reckon?
yeah, definitely one of the nights. We played a venue in Blackpool, and it was us, Starved, and another band playing. And the promoter basically said, "Oh, you just play as long as you want." And there was the rider was nuts. We had like 2, 3 crates of Budweiser, and like I was like, "Fuck it, guys, let's just have a good time." And I drank about 10 beers before I went on, and we played for literally an hour. And I remember just like going off and just screaming, and I don't think that helped.
No, I
It's
don't
just to
think that
say,
helped.
but if it's a one-off show, maybe. But if it's like you've got more coming up afterwards,
Yeah,
don't do that. Like just keep it chill. Because in the
yeah.
moment you feel invincible, but then the next day you're like, oh, I've got to do that again, and it doesn't sound as good.
I know, I can imagine. I
It's
mean,
all a
like
learning experience.
after going through that, I mean, at the very last show, like if you're doing the very, very, very last show, man, just fuck it. It doesn't matter at that point. But I guess
Oh
if
yeah,
you're like halfway through like
100%.
a touring thing, and you're just like, oh fuck, I've got another 4 days, 5 days, whatever the fuck it is. It's like, well,
Yeah,
shit. But
exactly. That's exactly it. But that's like kind of summary of like how I got into music and stuff and
yeah,
got into vocals. My dad is huge into music. He loves all genres and he's got so many vinyl records. So he's also introduced me to bands when I was really young, like Linkin Park, System of a Down, who are my favorite bands to this day.
that's
So
cool,
that's
man.
been such a huge part of my musical journey.
That's so sick. I mean, for me, because I react to so many different bands nowadays. Like my favorites change because I used to be always addicted to like Necrophagist and a lot of the technical deathcore. I mean, technical death metal scene,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
because I first got into metal through like Arch Enemy, with Angela Grosso, and
yeah. Of course,
because
that's awesome.
she was my inspiration to learn how to grow. Just to kind of figure out how the fuck
That's
to do it, because
fucking-
I would like because I would hear her scream and just be like, because I had no idea she was female at first, because I only heard her, just from
Yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So when I found out like she was female, I was like, yo, she can do that. I mean, if she can do that, what the fuck can anybody do? Like, because I think growling is one of
Mm,
the true. It's like the truest form of, because anybody can do it. Anybody can learn it. Like it comes in all shapes and
yeah,
sizes in that sense. It's not like a singing voice. It's a totally different vibe.
100%. I think if everyone's got it in them. It's just
Mhm.
training yourself to be able to do it consistently and without hurting yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's the most important bit. I mean, hurting yourself with it is terrible. But you will do it. I mean, when you're learning, like, learning is all about making mistakes, is all about being like, oh shit, that doesn't feel very good, or, trying to figure out, because, like I
Exactly.
said, a lot of people try to scream from where they sing, which is really bad for you. So,
Yeah, yeah. And if you look up, like, there's, I think it's Loudwire actually do a pretty good YouTube series where they have these big vocalists talking how they started to scream. And I've actually learned a lot of great advice from some of those videos.
so
Like Winston McCall.
give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah,
So,
bro.
Kai's wife just messaged me. Um, sorry, man. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think
Oh, good,
Kai's
man.
gonna be coming in a sec. His wife's gonna go wake him up. So, like I said,
Oh,
he's
yeah,
in the
nice.
south of like America, so he's in a completely different
Oh,
time
yeah,
zone
yeah.
to what me and you are. So, well, me and you aren't even
Yeah,
on the same
yeah.
time zone, man. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but no, man, it feels like we're on like similar like wavelengths. Like we all kind of like came in through like we went through like the Linkin Park stages and all through those. Even though I didn't
Mm.
quite like those bands, like I like everybody has to go through their Slipknots and their Korns and the Marilyn Mansons, and because obviously
Dude,
underground metal is
100%.
so hard to find in the UK.
Yeah, man. Like 100%. Like when I got properly into metal in 2008, the biggest bands to me at the time were Slipknot, System of a Down, Bring Me the Horizon as well. Was Suicide Season had just come out. Like I really, really like that album,
Mm.
and just a bunch of like old school deathcore, like Job for a Cowboy, Doom EP. Um, Nile was huge for me, like Annihilation of the Wicked. I literally got the vinyl in over there at the moment. Like that album is literally like my gateway into death metal.
That's so sick.
Annotations of an Autopsy, like just like old school shit. And
Mhm.
Slayer, just like I had a big thrash phase as well, where I loved Slayer, loved Metallica.
Oh, so yeah, man, you got into thrash, right? And Joe, yo, Kai, what's up? You finally woke up. I see you. You're actually literally here. Yes.
Your fault.
Yeah, man. As you were saying.
Oh yeah, talk about the thrash thing, hey? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Huge for me, man. Slayer, Raining Blood. It's probably top 5 albums of all time for me. And that really just set me off. And then from there was also like have to shout out Chimera. I think they're like one of the most underrated metal bands
Oh, yeah,
out
man.
there.
Chimera are
Possibly the
sick though.
band.
They are like,
Yeah,
some of their
so good,
songs are
man.
like amazing. Like they kind of like invented half of what metalcore does, basically, in my opinion. So,
Dude, 100%. They have like the beatdown riffs and like shit that people are doing now. And it's like they
oh
were
yeah, for
doing
real.
that in the early 2000s.
And
At
then
the end of Severed, it's just like a breakdown for like a
yeah,
minute and a half and it just
mhm.
keeps going. And it's like they did that shit in like 2001 or something, you
It's
know?
crazy, man. I
There's
mean,
so
when I
many
heard
bands.
like Nothing Remains, that shit was hard. When just with their drums and their bass in it, that shit is insanity.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. My one of my dreams is to see Chimera live. Because I never got to catch them. They did actually come to Australia about 10 years ago, but I
Mhm.
was late to the festival and I was looking at the fucking wrong map. So I missed their
Ouch.
set because they were playing earlier in the day, bro. Honest to swear to God, I was so upset.
Can't blame you, man.
But I hope one day I would be willing to fly to Cleveland, Ohio, wherever they do their what is it? They do this like anniversary show every now and then where they
Yeah.
just do 2 days of back to back and play like shitloads of songs. I would be literally willing to go over and see that. That's if they do that again.
That sounds
I
amazing, man.
just
I
love
mean,
that place
like, I
so
wish I
much.
could do that because, like, it's for some of my favorite bands. I would love to fly over, just go watch them, in the hometowns, or because they do their best
Yeah,
shows generally when they're at home. So
yeah, and the set list is crazy. Like and they play for so long, so you're gonna hear just like
yeah,
nearly about everything that you wanted to hear.
for sure, man. I mean, major respect to bands that can do that though, because like playing for multiple hours is like so difficult, especially when you are, as
Oh,
I say, like doing harsh vocals. Because he's doing partially clean, partially harsh in terms of Chimera as well. So
yeah, that's such an undertaking. Like longest set I've ever done is over an hour, and I was battered afterwards, like absolutely battered.
I don't blame you. I mean,
So
for me
props to
now,
these
I mean, like
guys.
just like practicing for like 30 or 40 minutes, not even in front of anybody, and I'm like, mate, my voice is wrecked after doing that shit.
Oh, it's hard. Yeah, it's a lot. Especially the adrenaline when you're actually on stage takes over. And you have to
Yeah,
kind of control that, stop yourself from going too far in. Otherwise, you're gonna fuck your shit up before you know it.
And if what you guys are doing is anything what I feel when I do the stuff I do, then it's real hard not to push yourself over that too far or whatever you.
Yeah, for sure. Like learning that balance is so difficult.
I can imagine. I mean, I've never really took it to like that level, to try to get it to where band level or two to play it live, but I can tell just from practicing it, just in like as a casual person, I can imagine the energy from it is absolutely insane because you get an energy kick
Yeah.
just from growling to begin with. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So then you add a live audience
yeah.
in front of the whole thing. It's a completely different thing. How it's mad.
Yeah, man, that's real. So, like, what are your plans for like the direction of your new band? Like, Howlerless? Like, where do you guys plan on going?
Musically or just kind of everything? Oh, we want to take it everywhere, man. We'd love to come to England. We'd love to come to States. We'd love to go to Europe. Like, we want to push it as far as we can. We've only obviously got like a couple songs out at the moment,
Yeah.
and I'm only on the newest one.
Yep.
Well, I've been working with the guys for over a year now, and we've just got
That's
a
awesome.
plan. We've just got loads of singles that we're wanting to drop, and we just want to make them more and more crazier
Yeah.
than the last one.
I mean, like, speaking of the old vocalist commented on that first reaction video that I did to Howlerless. The dude seemed very nice, very sound. He wasn't. There was no
Oh
animosity
man,
from
hell
what I
yeah!
can tell. Just like he was just like
Oh,
I'm not a
awesome.
part of this band anymore, but I support them because they're amazing. And I'm like, you know what? That's just major respect to that dude, man. So
Oh, that's sick. I didn't even see that comment. Hey, I'll have to go
yeah,
check that out. Sick, sick, sick. Oh, that's really cool to hear, man. Yeah, it's like we're in Perth, it's the most isolated capital city in the entire world, so it's a lot harder for bands to break out here. Like our biggest band in Perth is called Make Them Suffer, if you guys know them.
yeah,
They're like they're pretty big now, I'd say. Like they
mhm,
they tour a lot. And all the bigger Australian bands like Thy Art Murder, Thy Art is Murder, sorry, North Lane, Polaris, In Heart's Wake, Parkway Drive, they're all on the other side of Australia on the East Coast. But we're trying to push the social media. Like a lot of bands hate social media, but we're just kind of embracing it and going like, this is what we have to use to get us out there. So we're going to utilize it as much as we can. So we're
you
just
know,
trying to push
yeah, I totally
as
feel that. I
much as we
mean,
can.
just from what I do, man, I hate doing social media. Social media is like my nightmare. Like I'm okay with the editing and the actual doing it and the live streams and all of those things, but I suck at the social media side of it. I have that. Like it's always been my downfall when it comes to.
Uh,
I do agree, but I do
it's a
agree.
job in
I do agree
itself.
with you. It's like it's needed, especially for bands, because it's so difficult to find bands. Like especially when you got two singles and you're trying to push forward from there.
Mm. Yeah, literally, everyone in the band is in agreement. We don't. It's just, oh, should we do this? Push this? Yep, just do it. Like, there's no questions answered. Like ask. Sorry, we just get it done if we think it's gonna improve. And we've had with our latest single, there's been some great moments where like, yeah, that's great, we'll do that again. And then other times we'll be like, no, we're not doing that again. Like
Yeah,
lesson learned kind of vibe. And
makes sense.
it's been a really good growing experience, and it's just constant learning and just knowing everything about it. When I first ever released a song, um, about 6 years ago, I didn't think about any of this stuff. I didn't have a clue about it, and I kind of like having that naivety when I was that age because like, fuck yeah, check out my song, and it's like parents and teachers comment on it on Facebook
Oh shit. Yeah.
and stuff. It's awesome. And then 6 years later, it's like, oh, now I've got to actually like market this properly.
Mhm.
And it's like, shit, it's a different ball game. But I've
Yes.
actually enjoyed learning it. And Steffi, the guitar, one of our guitarists in the band, is so switched on with that stuff, and he's
That's sick though.
taught me a lot about it, which is really cool.
Because I mean, when I look at the bands that break out, like how Disembodied Tyrant have just broken out into some insanity of
Oh,
what
dude,
when they just released, like, with Synestia, then they've just released their first, like the first half of their album, basically. Like, was it a quarter of the
I
album,
still need
whichever
to
way?
listen to that one.
It's
Yeah,
amazing. It's like it pushed deathcore forward about another 10 years, in my opinion. So in terms of the
mad.
complexity, and because it's very different, because like Synestia was very classical based. This is very much like brutality and deathcore based, and they did like what is them, because they switched vocalists, so they went from, so they have Blake now. They used to have Don, didn't they? So
Oh, I didn't know they had a vocalist change.
mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it used to be Don does vocals. If you
Oh,
know who that
man.
is, the vocalist of Ice Satan and a few other bands.
I think I might follow that guy on Instagram
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that
dude.
username sounds
Yeah, dude's a
incredibly
legend.
familiar.
Dude's a fucking legend, man. He's always so nice. He's always like giving me shit, and a really nice person overall. So,
Mad. Oh, that's sick.
mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. No, deathcore's doing good at the moment. Have you seen like the MySpace deathcore revival scene happening mainly in like the US at the moment?
No, I
All
haven't. I
these
need to check
bands
that
just
out.
sound. Oh, have you not?
No, I've not
Oh,
seen it.
bro, it's just every band wants to sound like The Cleansing by Suicide Silence, and it's popping off, dude.
That is sick.
There's so many sick bands coming
Mhm.
out. Like there's a band like Girl of Glass, which is literally a Suicide Silence song. They're popping off. I can't remember. They've all gone to my head. Like Psycho Frame as well. I've like I can't remember all of them off my head, but like basically, yeah, there's just full MySpace like shitty production, pingy snares, unreadable band logos. Like, oh, it's great.
So, what
I
is the
hope it
underground metal
like
scene?
becomes
Basically, just
worldwide.
everything can like compartmentalize into this. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a throwback core. I swear,
yeah.
like all the big genres from years ago are just coming back. Like
That's
bands
true in
wanting to
like
do
all of
old
them, especially even like Visual K.
deathcore.
There's like emo, like the Japanese scene. There's like emo core coming back within Visual K, and I'm like, what? That's not for, that's like from like
Oh
2013,
yeah, yeah.
2012, man. So
I've been listening to bands as well. Like the other day, I put a record on, and it came out last year, and it sounded like it was from 2003. And I was like, "This is
yeah,
fucking insane." And I'm all
yes,
for it. I think that's badass.
yes. I mean, I'm a kind of a production junkie. Like, I love production. I love like high level production, but sometimes you gotta just like deal with that brutality. Like, especially when you go more into the heavier grindcore-y, really like slammy deathcore, you kind of have to lose a little bit of that production, I would say.
Oh, it's such a balance of production, hey, because some of my favorite records have technically terrible production, but the songwriting is so good, and because of the time period it came out for, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas something else may be very produced and it sounds perfect, but I still don't think it's as good as that one that sounds like shit. But it's a fine line because I like all kinds of production, man. Like the shitty stuff, but then the really high end stuff. It's like it's finding that balance where the band sits within all
Yeah.
of it.
I mean, that's very true. I mean, it just depends on what you're into, right? So there's no
Exactly. Yeah.
there's no like one rule for anything. Like, you can have like plethora of different things that are all unique in their own ways, which is what I love about music and I love about reacting.
Oh, 100%. There's just so much. There's so much to offer in the metal scene, I reckon, at the moment. There's so many bands doing so many cool things.
Yeah. And
Like,
I mean,
I
like,
find a
even
band every week.
so good. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Even like going into or going back to like in terms of just vocality, like with like Will Ramos and the charismatic voice, where they're putting a scope down his throat, so they
Yeah.
can see how screaming techniques are working, and they're really analyzing how people are able to grow and able to perform the techniques and actually how it works within his throat, which is such a cool fucking thing to see.
Oh, it's mad. I remember watching that and I was even fascinated myself seeing. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah,
I think they've just announced that they're getting loads of people involved now. I think Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel's doing it and shit. So that's
that's
gonna pop
sick.
off. That's gonna pop off hard.
Mhm. Yeah, man, it's gonna go crazy. I mean, I'd love to see loads of vocalists. I mean, I'd love to see the science vocalist. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but
Oh, David from
yeah,
Science to
David. Yeah,
Swarm.
David. David Sims, that's the one.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, I would love to see
yeah.
David do it because his voice is so, it has so much like grist behind it. And, you know, his voice is very unique in that
Oh
sense.
yeah, it definitely is. I need to check out that latest Signs
It's sick.
album actually.
Those breakdowns are
Yeah.
fire. Like, you'll love it.
Oh hell yeah, dude. That's brilliant.
But yeah, man. Moving on. Like, in terms of lyricism, like, who writes the lyrics in Oh Howl at least?
So far, it's pretty much like everyone. So by everyone, I mean so me, Sean, and Steffi. So Sean and Steffi are the two guitarists,
Mhm.
and obviously me vocals. We write all the stuff, and we just sit together and we kind of just shoot the shit. When this instrumental was done for this song, we just wrote the lyrics in that session together, and all the lyrics are based off a horror game called Outlast, where you're stuck in an asylum with a fucking camcorder and there's people
Oh yeah.
like absolute nutcases running around. You can't hurt anyone, you can't kill anyone, you just have to run away from things. And the whole video and the lyrics and the concept of the green and stuff, all the colors are all based off of the game. And I had loads of stuff written up. I already wrote lyrics for the whole song, and then we just sat together and just changed bits as we were going. Like, oh, this would sound better. So I feel like this song and pretty much all the other songs as well, they're all collaborative bits. Like there's a couple lines written by Sean, there's a whole verse and chorus written by me. Steffi's got a few lines in there, so we've got lyrics just kind of spread between everyone.
That is sick.
But with my old band Sunfall, some of the songs were written all by our guitarist Ollie, the lyrics, but then there was like loads it was literally just me. But it's cool having this dynamic where everyone's kind of writing, because I'll get things suggested to me that I would have never have thought of, like
Yeah.
patterns or just phrases. I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool, and it sounds better than what I originally had there.
That's sick. I mean,
So we're
collaborative
very much
efforts
a
are
collaborative
really
band.
important, I would say, in terms of like just from
Yeah,
what I've done. Like without people who have helped me get, you know, like through the YouTube shit, never would be here now. Never would be able to talk to you or do what I do now. I feel very honoured to have all these people to be like, well, I've subscribed to you, or I've listened to this, or I comment on videos, and like, you know, all the little things, all the collaborative things. So because I don't view it as like a me, I view it as an us rather than a, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, definitely, dude. It's great. I love working collaboratively. It's just always what I've done. I've always been a kind of person that's like, I'd rather jam in a garage for like 2 hours rather than like sit on a laptop and write something. I mean, I do that now and I enjoy it a lot, but I always love that old school, just like everyone just meets up and fucking does this. And then you come up with something and you're like, this is sick. And everyone's vibing. Like, that's what I did a lot in high school. Just kind of like have those garage bands that don't go anywhere, but at the time, it's like the best fucking thing in the world.
I mean, it's just creative juices, man. That's all you need. You know, just that kind of like
Yeah,
that hint of creativity, and you're just happy. It doesn't matter what the fuck happens. Just it's just happiness at the end of the day.
exactly. Yeah. Some of my best memories are from that. It's awesome.
No one can imagine. I feel exactly the same way about like the crazy journeys that I've done to like, you know, just for everything, man. Because we all go through journeys in life. It's just wherever shit takes us at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. 100%.
Yeah, man. But yeah, Kai, did you have anything to ask? Any comments? Anything that you wanted to know?
The only thing I'd ask you is probably the obvious is when y'all get a couple more songs out, y'all plan on starting, going around places or like the US and stuff?
Um,
Or, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but
yeah. 100%. So I've done a couple of international shows with my previous band, and it is very difficult sometimes, depending on what country you want to go into to get in. You need like visas. You probably see bands all the time canceling tours because they can't get their visas on time and they've been denied at the border or whatever. So it's really a case of just finding like the right opportunity to be like, oh, like this tour's come up and we can kind of do it with them and make it work. I mean, it's I feel like it's going to take a good couple years of grinding to do a show outside of Australia, especially because we're still such a new band. but like the goal is 100% to make it over to the US, to make it over to UK in Europe, and just push as hard as we can for that. And we just like every song that we drop, we're gonna just push as hard as we can to get out there and get those opportunities. Um, and because we do have that, mindset of being in the smallest capital city in the world, we just want to break out. So we just so determined to make it happen no matter what. And I'm a dual citizen, so I've actually got 2 passports, so I can go back and forth from the UK as I please. So that's a
That's a
benefit.
bonus. Yeah, that's a bonus and a
Do you
half.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Considering
To
like an
actually
help.
book an
considering like
That
the
helps.
Australian passport is the hardest one to get of all of them. Like
Yeah.
Australia is so difficult to get. So and then the UK as well, the 2 hardest basically to get. Well, maybe like America's hard to
Yeah.
get as well, but you know what I mean.
I think
Difficult as hell to get in
America's
here, yeah.
difficult. It's very hard. My friend who I do a film podcast with my mate called
Mhm.
Charlie. It's called Cinebruvs. We just review like any kind of film, right? And he's actually in a band called Near Blue. They're like a kind of sound like a Beartooth kind of vibe. Like it's rocky, but it has like its heavier moments. They're really good.
Yeah.
And he lives in England, but all of his band are in the US, and so he flies over regularly to go and track stuff with them and do stuff. But now he can't go back now until like next year because of the visa stuff. And he's finding it difficult too. And he's telling me like it's really hard to make this work. I'm like, holy shit, like it's crazy. So that's why when stuff like labels and stuff come, that would probably be the biggest benefit is playing internationally.
Yeah.
But we're just focusing on the music right now, and
Makes
hopefully
sense.
we
And
can
again,
find
though, like
ourselves
speaking of
finding
labels,
those.
labels can make or break a band as well, though. Because I've seen a lot of bands get to a label and then they've literally gone backwards. Instead of going forwards, they've literally almost been forced to adhere to what the label wants rather than what they want to produce. Also,
We're not interested in labels unless they can offer something that is greater than what we are providing right now. Because right now we're doing everything for ourselves, and we are seeing results from that. So we don't want someone to come on board and then not even be able to provide what we've already done.
Mhm.
Because I'm not going to say names and stuff, but I've worked with a record label before and stuff, and a lot of this exciting at the time and stuff, but sometimes you're not really getting out as much as you expect. You're like, shit, well, we could actually be doing this ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're going to be very picky about that. And I think growing up when I was like younger, like earlier 20s, it's like, oh yeah, record label, record label, record label. That's all you care about. And it's just the, not it's the concept of it. It's not even like, oh, well, the actual ins and outs of it isn't just like, oh, you get signed, you get all these CDs done and this. It's like,
I mean, it's just like
I don't
everyone had
know.
that dream, like so, like it's like everyone dreams of a label, just like how every person who loved gaming wanted to work at Blizzard when we were kids. Like it's like it's that kind of dream
Yeah,
where it's like,
it is. That's a great way to compare it.
Mhm.
100%. That's
like
definitely the one.
and like even though like Blizzard is now, they're not exactly what they once were. They've obviously gone to shit, like in a lot of ways, not in all the ways, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But I think, but it's just like the way that the
definitely.
labels, like you kind of, because as an adult, you see it as more of you see the bureaucracy as much as anything else. Because like a lot of the labels,
For
from what I've
sure.
seen, they provide a lot of money, but that's about it for the most part.
Yeah. And I've had friends bands that have been signed to like smaller labels or just labels, and they're just like, we fucking regret doing this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We own money now, and we don't own the album we've just dropped.
hmm
Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like we're just making sure that we're picky
Yeah. I mean,
with that kind of stuff.
that's
If
awesome.
it
I mean,
comes
like,
up.
yeah, because you're saying that in like even in like in the pop era and like and the country, like people like Taylor Swift and other people like that who are having to re-release their already released music just
Dude,
because the label owns it.
literally, like a huge star like Taylor Swift's having to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's a deathcore band gonna do?
Get sued into
Like, yeah.
oblivion most likely. Anyways,
Yeah, even hear about like the Victory Records stuff with Carnifex and stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
And Scott's gone on podcast and said like, we want to press Dead in My Arms on vinyl, but we don't have the fucking rights to that album and
that's
shit,
facts.
And it's
Yeah.
and that album's like what 15 years old or something at this point, probably older than that, So it's like shit. That was such a shit trap to fall into.
Yes, I mean, like they might eventually get the rights to it because obviously there's like a certain like
Yeah.
limit that labels have, obviously, but still.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it's a
It's mad.
trap. I think like a lot of people fall into that because we all have this like grand idea in our head of like a perfect world and exactly what we want to do, and it doesn't always work out that way.
No, there's so much behind the scenes that you don't see until
Yeah.
you get into it. You're like, fuck. Like even when we were talking about Chimera earlier on, they fucking were signed to Roadrunner Records and they fucking hated it. You know, that whole album Resurrection is based off of moving away from that label. You know, so it's like, and at the time, you know, I looked up to Roadrunner Records when I was younger. I thought it was the best label ever and stuff. And little do I know, my favorite band at the time is miserable on them because
Yeah.
they're not getting the support they need. And
Yeah, same with like, cause
goddamn.
it was always Roadrunner, then Nuclear Blast, and like, you know, there was the two that I always knew over. Anyway, but still.
Yeah, same. Nuclear Blast as well. Roadrunner. I'd always check the CD binder. Oh, it's Nuclear Blast. I'm buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, many
I
years
remember
ago.
like sitting in my ICT class in year 11 and just like literally like scrolling through Nuclear Blast's website to try to find bands and stuff to listen to.
Oh man, me and you the same. That's what I would do as well. I would just go on the record roster and just find all the bands. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I mean that's what we had to do, man, because the internet wasn't nowhere near what it is now. Like it's so easy to find music nowadays. It's like you can search
Oh,
it
it's
on YouTube
insanely
and find like
free.
a million different bands that you could listen to.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, I used to find bands from breakdown compilations, like top 10 most underground brutal breakdowns of all time.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is this band? And you go find them and they're like this tiny band from this little city. Like, shit, they're sick. But you
I
wouldn't
know.
have found that band otherwise.
No, I know. I mean, that's the same for me. Like half the bands I find is not because of me; it's because of just people who watch my streams or because of people who support me. So, like Hunted, I think was the one. Like, there's a guy called Hunted in my streams who, like, he's like a deathcore head. He listens to everything, anything. Like, he loves brutality for like the most part. So I think he was the
Oh,
one
sick.
who showed me basically how to lose to begin with. Because he's literally like trying to find
Oh,
every
good.
single new band that's like coming through. So,
Oh, respect. That's
mhm.
awesome. That's like a job in itself. There's just
Yeah,
so many new bands.
it's crazy. I'm surprised people like put up with it, you know, considering like it's just like giving me shit to listen to. But I don't know, man.
Awesome stuff,
Yeah, if
man.
you count the
Hell yeah.
people that try to troll you with it on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's half the fun, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it
Awesome.
is.
Stillman. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Okay.
I'm not too awful sure, to be honest with you. I know I ain't been here long, but I'm sure y'all covered already most everything, right? Oh.
Excuse you.
Excuse me.
You worked. No, you mentioned your podcast because obviously, like, you know, you talk about movies and what kind of movies are you into?
Yeah.
What stuff do you like? What's your favorite genres?
So favorite genre is definitely horror, closely followed by like thriller and like comedy. Always love a
Yeah.
comedy as well, but like really into like fucked up shit, like
Oh yeah.
horror movies. Like I like looking up like some of the stuff is a bit crazy, but like you know I watch like Human Centipede, Serbian film, and like
Yeah. I mean, like
Cannibal Holocaust.
yeah. I mean, like my favorite is Martyrs. Martyrs is amazing. So
Oh, dude, Martyrs is crazy. Yeah,
yes.
great film.
Mhm.
Like, I really just intrigued by that kind of stuff. Like, again, some of it, some of the films I've heard, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could watch that. Like August Underground. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, that's fucked
Like
up.
really like
It's
fucked up shit.
proper
Yeah,
fucked up. It's like it.
yeah. I was
I know
like, I
it's
don't
not
know
real,
if I
but
could
it's
watch
like
that.
yeah. No, it's like a hand
Yeah,
cam, so it's all hand cam, so it feels more real. Well, you know, more realistic anyway.
yeah, yeah. So like, I have like a limit for some stuff, but like a lot of stuff, I'm like, fuck it, let's watch it. Like, you know, the Saw movies got me into horror. Like, I got
Yes,
Billy
sir.
the Puppet tattooed on my elbow.
Oh,
So
that's
fucking
sick.
that geezer. Yeah, legit. Like I got into that shit, and like I first watched Saw when I was like 15. I was like, "Yo, this is so sick!" And then
Yeah.
from there, it was fucking all sorts of movies. I always have to talk about this film when I talk about horror. There's a British film called Kill List that came out in
Mhm.
2011. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's
No, I
so
haven't.
fucking good. It's like a weird fucking folk horror film. It's directed by Ben Wheatley. If you've ever heard of him, he's done some like cool stuff over the years. But that's a weird like horror film you should check out, like a weird underground little British
Oh, that's
flick.
sick. I mean, I've seen a lot of them. I've seen like obviously a Serbian film and Martyrs, obviously, and a
Yeah.
lot of them really fit on, like Red Room, obviously, and then like because like if you go into Japanese horror, it's like it's way over the top. It's very much like
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
We have like Tokyo Gore Police, and then you go into Machine Gun Girl, and you go into Itchy the Killer, and all that craziness too.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't actually seen those ones. Like I know what they are, but I just have never seen them.
Hmm.
I've wanted to see Itchy the Killer though for a long time.
You should. It's amazing. They all are. They're,
Yeah.
they're like cheesy and over the top, but they're amazing in their own right. Like where it's
Yeah.
just blood for the sake of blood, but like it's just fun.
100%. Yeah, like I recently watched Terrifier 1 and 2 for the first
I
time,
was
and I thought
fixing
they
to
were
ask
fucking
you about that. Sorry.
Hell yeah. No, I watched those for the first time very, very recently, and I thought the practical effects and everything were absolutely fantastic for like the budget they had, and I thought it was hilarious. It was some of the scenes were like, I was like, fucking hell, that was crazy,
I
but
don't
I
know if
loved
they've
it.
ever made it a point in that movie, but I can believe the theory that that damn clown has some kind of ability to keep people alive until he's done with them, because there's just no other way.
Yeah. That one scene in the bedroom and that chick
Oh
still
yes,
breathing.
oh yes, that's
Yeah.
something. That is
Yeah.
something.
No, that was great. And I know that new movie's coming out in a month, Terrifier 3, so I'll go see it at the cinema for that one. But
That's
yeah,
gonna be
Yeah,
sick.
good stuff. Yeah. No, horror's great, man.
Yeah.
I live for it. I really I always try and find like new stuff. I'm just so
Mhm.
immersed in it. Like if it's
Yeah.
good as well, that's like a good fucking horror movie, like a thriller. I'm like, doesn't it, there's something about it just immerses me like nothing else. Kind of like music. Get that
Yeah.
same feeling when you listen to like a really fucking good album.
Mhm. There's nothing like horror has that same kind of vibe where like it's like a visceral reaction. So like when you're listening to
Yeah,
like music as an example, like it kind of makes your imagination work. Well, at least that's how it is for me. I don't know how it is for anybody else, but where it kind of like
yeah,
almost where it almost makes a picture inside of your head in that way.
for sure. I definitely get that. Like I get so many as I've gotten older, my reaction to music's changed. Like I can hear stuff now that is so heavy that I actually get tears in my eyes. Like it's
Uh,
making me emotional. I'm like, that's
yeah.
so heavy, man, that I'm like, I'm feeling that. Like that new Whitechapel song, bro, that fucking sent me through the fucking
That shit was
wall.
fucking heavy
I,
for them, man. Because like it took
it's
them so long to
so
find their
hard.
sound because their sound wasn't quite there for
Yeah,
such a long time, and then they finally smashed out with like this shit, man. It's like
yeah, bro. I mean, I won't lie. I actually quite enjoyed Whitechapel's little detour with the like, little butt rock songs and stuff they did, and Phil's singing was actually pretty good. But like, bands always say we're gonna go heavy, and I don't fucking believe a word they say. But then
yeah,
when this song came out, I was like, this is fucking insane. And Phil actually sounds like the best he's ever sounded.
yeah,
I
I agree
actually would
totally.
say that. I was like, holy
Yeah,
shit.
I would say like their last album and this new release are just like some of their masterpieces at this point. So.
Yeah, dude, it's so cool to see that, man. I feel like this new album is actually just gonna get them maybe the biggest they've ever been because people have just been pining for this
Yeah,
sound, and they've just come and first single was fantastic. So,
yeah. I mean, if it's all going
God,
to be like that, where it's all that kind of level of brutality and like heaviness, and keeping their production as like to the high value production that they have as well, it's going to be
oh,
craziness.
production's fantastic. I blasted that in my van the other day for work, and I was like, "Fucking hell, that's foul." Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
oh, it's
I
just
know
so
exactly what you mean.
nice to see them back doing that.
Yeah, because it's one thing like doing headphones, but like me when I'm not reacting, I would listen to it on my speaker system. That's just like around the PC. It was like blast it through the floor almost, man. Just it kind of has to be done sometimes.
Yeah, you have to do that to those songs. You have to. It's the only way.
I mean, that's why we're into like this heavy shit, man. I mean, I didn't get into deathcore really till I was in my 30s, but because obviously I was kind of
Oh,
stuck like
true. Yeah,
more
yeah,
with the death metal, like I was more like our symphonic death metal. Then like suddenly I
yeah.
found Lorna Shore. Then I found uh Alex Terrible's band, Slaughter to Prevail, and then I found all
Oh,
the other
Swords
crazy
Prevail.
bands, yeah, and all the other bands through that point. And now I'm so deep into my rabbit hole that I know like Derek from Neathful, obviously, like I know you guys, I know Oracle Spectre, I know like a whole bunch of people just randomly within the scene of deathcore, which is so cool.
Oh, dude, that's sick. Yeah, that's fucking awesome, man. just get those connections, and you find out so many people are friends with other people.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this person's from fucking Australia, but he fucking knows this guy from England that I
Yeah.
speak to. It's like so
Yeah.
crazy.
No, it's great, isn't it? Now, but it's cool because it's a whole scene and it's a whole collective of people who are just, actively trying to make the scene better and heavier and stronger, and you know what I mean.
Mm. I'd say the scene right now is so good. There's
Yeah.
so many bands. There's fresh bands, and then we've got revival core bands playing old school metalcore, old school deathcore. You got new metal is as popular as ever. Limp Bizkit are fucking selling out the world. Like
Yeah,
it's just
it's true.
crazy. Like there's just something for everyone
There
at
is.
this point, and I'm all for it. And yeah, I think metal's in a fucking good place.
It
I
is
really
for a
do.
change. Like it's starting to move out of that kind of niche underground. It's kind of moving slowly towards that more mainstream. Especially because if you look at how popular
It is.
bands are like Lorna Shore, and like especially when you go back
Oh,
even back
sure.
to Linkin Park and like how they got a new singer,
Yeah.
and as controversial as like that is, it's still like it's still pushing the whole alternative scene in a good direction.
Oh yeah, it is. It's huge. Like when that Linkin Park announcement happened, there was just blew up. Like so many notifications, like everywhere. You couldn't escape it on main news, on like, you know, and that's crazy. It just shows, like you said, like all these bands and stuff are more relevant than ever.
For sure.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It is insane. But it means that like obviously like the scene's moving in a very good direction, which is very good for everything that we're doing, because it means eventually some of the smaller bands who are trying to get relevant might be able to easier find labels, maybe, or might be able to easier find an audience in that way. Because if there's people actively looking, then
Exactly, because people will find these, Lorna Shore and stuff, and they'll bump into all the other bands that are
yeah,
inspired with. They'll see signs of the Swarm. They'll find Infinite Annihilator, Shadow of Intent,
yeah.
and it's just a rabbit hole goes deeper.
Oh, you reminded me. Like that's what I was
Crazy.
thinking of. When you're describing like the symbolism and stuff behind your band. It totally reminded me of Shadow of Intent because I started on Halo, didn't they? So like with their lyricism and the way
Yeah,
they.
yeah, they did. Yeah, because I actually normally write lyrics from a personal kind of uh mindset, but with this band, it's kind of been a bit different. And like before I joined the band, the song they did before I was in it is actually based off the Callisto Protocol horror game that came out. And I'll be honest, I actually kind of think that game's trash. Like I'm a huge Dead Space fan, but I
Mhm.
did not like Callisto Protocol that much. But they based the song off of that game. And then I don't know, we're just writing the next song, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna talk about Outlast for this. And then we had some other stuff that, to be honest, like without spoiling, a lot of the songs at the moment are actually based off horror games.
That's cool though.
So yeah, and that's different for me as a writer because I'm used
Mhm.
to just writing about personal stuff and like hiding it within metaphors and making it relate to other things. But this time it's a bit more
That's cool though, because I mean, like,
fantasy
yeah,
fictional based.
yeah,
That's nice
that's nice though, because
for a
like
change.
if you think about it, like from what I've seen, like most bands are writing about depressive or relatable things,
Mm,
within there's not as many people taking things from like Cannibal Corpse where, it's all for fun, it's all for how gruesome and fucked
yeah.
up and whatever. How can we get this? Rather than have it where everything is too relatable, everything is too depressive at the moment, and especially like the deathcore
Yeah.
scenes and the heavier visual case scenes, and it's all based around that one singular concept, from what I can see.
Yeah, definitely. So it's cool to be able to do that, and it means as well that we can stylize our artwork and videos to that.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh, we can have this vibe because it's based off of this, and we are so excited to shoot the new music video for the next track and get the artwork done. Like I'm more excited doing that than I have been doing original material where I've written about something personal, because it's like this is cool. It feels like a fucking, I don't know, like a big production of
yeah.
like sorts. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really cool.
Well, that's awesome. I can't wait to see your guys' next shit. I mean, like, the first one was amazing. Obviously, the one with you featuring was amazing too. Like, obviously, like, we wouldn't be here otherwise.
No, yeah, I really, really appreciate that. Like, and I know you're a big tech death guy, and I hope, sorry, no, I don't hope, sorry. I know that you'll probably like this next one because we've definitely got that vibe for this song.
I
It's
love
like
I love all
all
the
to
tech
go.
death, like even technical deathcore. Like some of the technical deathcore bands are fucking insane as well. The ones who are
Yeah,
just so
man.
like so brutally technical, which is like it's a thing that you can't imagine till you hear it. It's insane.
Exactly. Yeah, we've taken that technical side and we've put it in, and we've made it groove as well. Like it's not just 300 miles per hour the whole time. It's sectioned. It has its oh shit moments, and let's dial it down again kind of
Yeah.
vibe. You know, we like to have those dynamics.
So no Archbyron's
So
influence is what you're saying.
oh yeah, dude, there's 100% Archspire core next song. Like 100%, dude. I can't wait to. Yeah, I've written some horrendous vocal lines that I'm gonna have to track,
Mhm.
like in terms of just being speed and making it accurate. And I know that's gonna frustrate the fuck out of me, but I'm keen as to just smash it out.
I believe in you. You can fucking do this. No,
Dude,
but like I said, like
yeah.
at the like I don't know, like I don't know what song I said it on, but like basically the moment I heard Hallelujah, so I was like, now these guys are like the next big thing, no matter like in the
Oh, dude, I
scene.
really appreciate
It was like
it, man.
fucking
For
unique
real.
as shit. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. These guys, there's like a few bands that are up and coming that are amazing. Like there's you guys and a couple of others, but honestly, I'm excited for the future. You know, as we're talking about, man, the future is fucking bright with deathcore.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so
Even
good. I just so keen.
So we go.
even me, with not being as familiar with that type of music, I had to go back and listen to both of those tracks at least 2 or 3 times at work because they're better than most stuff I've heard in that genre
Oh, fuck yeah.
for me.
I really, really appreciate
But
it.
I'm not very educated in it. But I like the stuff, so that's the first. That's the start
Yeah.
Hell
for
yeah.
me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because you're more like into like more your King Diamond, and then obviously like Dimmable Gear and Cradle and Wednesday and that side.
I'm a
So
safe guy, all right. Except for what you think about the King Diamond stuff.
no, we're not going to mention them. That can wait till another episode.
Yes. Hey, you started that. You started. Well, if you don't care, if you got a minute, what goes into like writing and stuff for the making the music videos and stuff like that? What's the process usually in going? You guys use for that, like the writing what you're trying to show and all that stuff. Just
Oh yeah. So with the video we just did, Steffi did like a storyboard, our guitarist, and we had a guy called Andre, shout out Andre, and he shot the video for us, and we just had a storyboard, and we sat with him and had lunch just one day and went through it for like a few hours. And from there he just took our vision. We gave him like screenshots of horror films, like we literally like looked up like Grave Encounters. Like, have you guys ever watched that like found footage paranormal activity movie?
Oh, that sounds sick, actually.
We literally gave him like, yeah, like we gave like inspiration of that. Martyrs as well. I swear to God, there was like something to do with Martyrs. Like Saw as well, because like the color grading in Saw is all
Oh, yes,
like
proper color grade.
fucking,
It's proper green. That's like Saw, like to
yeah,
a T. Yeah.
proper green. So we had all these screenshots that we gave him and just kind of like an outline of what we were going to do. It was more narrative based when we were talking about it, but then when it actually came to shooting, we had to we actually shot in like an abandoned like military bunker in the fucking like off the side of a road. Like it was crazy getting there. Like my little car wouldn't have been able to handle it, so we had like a couple 4-wheel drives and stuff, take all the stuff in there, and we just put classic deathcore fucking plastic sheets of blood on them. Tried to make the place just look super grimy.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's a lot of effort. Music videos are fucking like huge, and we were there for like 13 hours. Like we
Ouch.
I can
started at
imagine.
12 in the afternoon, and I didn't get home until 3 in the morning. It was fucked up, and like everyone was just so dead afterwards, but we were stoked that it was, we did it and finished it and stuff. But it's a huge process. Like a lot of time, effort, and money goes into them.
Yeah.
And I've done music videos in the past, and some I'm really happy with, some I'm like fucking terrible. But like you live and you learn, and you always just kind of go, okay, that worked, well that didn't work this time. And having a videographer that like believes in your vision and actually cares about the music is really good, because Andre was just like loved it, loved all of the suggestions we had, and was really open. about us like, oh hey, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that, and yeah, we're really stoked with how it turned out, and we're keen to get the next one done, and the next one we're worried about because the song's basically twice the length of the other one, so
Oh
there's a
damn,
lot of stuff. Yeah.
that's cool though, because I mean it's gonna be sick in terms of like a music production point of view, but in terms of like creatively and narratively putting that into a video, that's like a whole other thing.
It is, man, and like I said, Steffi is really good at storyboarding everything. He has like a vision of how he wants to see things, and we kind of just jump in and say, yeah, that's cool, and get all the props sorted out and what else we need. Like, there's so much work that goes into music videos, man, and
Yeah, I can
there's
imagine.
some
They
really high-end ones.
music videos these days seem like full movies almost, like where they literally got
Oh,
almost that movie production fucking budget.
Literally,
Yeah,
literally, music videos are like short films now,
yeah.
and it's fucking crazy. And they're great fun, but they are a lot of work. It's almost just like, oh, do we have to do another music video? Fuck. Like, it's always when you're in the moment doing it, you're like, this fucking sucks. You do like the same take 20 times if you just throwing your body around. And once you see it, you're like, hell yeah, that was fucking worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it always just pays off. I think everything in the moment just kind of sucks, man. Especially like even if you're in a studio and you can't quite get a riff, or you can't quite get the vocal to sound exactly how you want it to sound, or like it pisses you off. But eventually, once you nail it, you know what, fuck it, this is perfect.
Yeah, it's like once you nail it, it's like all the stress and anger before is gone. It's like it never happened. You just don't even think about it.
Nope. It's like you can get on with your day. Everything's happy. Everything is well with the world and all
Yeah.
that greatness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. No,
Yeah, man, but for
that's
sure.
great stuff, man.
I think we're like about an hour-ish into it, from what I can tell, man. So I think we'll call it. I think you definitely got long enough to
man.
call it an
It's
episode.
flown by.
It has flown by.
Yeah, it
But
has.
yeah, man.
Great stuff, man.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Like I just said, man, it's gone by way too quickly, but that's the same with most things that we do. So
Oh man,
Yeah,
I
I
really appreciate you
apologize
having me.
again for missing out on the first half of the conversation.
you're totally
'Cause
fine.
I
You know,
agree, man.
it's all scheduling. We'll get better at scheduling as time goes on. Like, well, like now I'll learn how to like communicate with like times better and stuff like that. But that's all for like the future. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I've been Makai. That has been Kai. That has been Sam over there somewhere. And yeah, have a wonderful fucking day, everybody. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.